Hello everybody, my name is Hassan Nafi. I'm an anatomy and physiology instructor at Madison College in Wisconsin. I wanted to welcome you back again to our anatomy and physiology series. This time we're going to talk about one of the organs of the respiratory system. This organ is found inside the thoracic cavity. This organ helps our body to bring in oxygen and expels carbon dioxide. This organ helps to deliver oxygen to the organs, to the tissues, and to the cells. This organ also helps our body to maintain a normal pH and keeps the body homeostasis. This organ are the lungs. We have two lungs in the chest. There is one lung on each side. If I projected this model of the human body, I want to share with you some of the features that you can identify in the lungs. As you see here, we have two lungs, one on each side of the body, right lung and a left lung. Both lungs are lined or enclosed in a double membrane layer. This layer is the pleura. It does have two layers, an outer layer that lines up the thoracic cavity and is known as the parietal pleura, and a layer that attach directly to the surface of the lung, and this is known as the visceral pleura. Each lung has an apex, which is the top part, and it does have a base, which is the lower part. The space between the two lungs is known as the mediastinum. This space is occupied, as you see from the top to the bottom, by great vessels. These are the aorta and the pulmonary vessels, and it is occupied by the heart. On the left side here, if you see, the left lung has a little notch. This is known as the cardiac notch. Underneath, in the lower part of the lung, you're going to find the major muscle of respiration, and this is known as the diaphragm. And the diaphragm actually separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. If I showed you this diagram or this model of the lung, we could identify some features on the surface of the two lungs. So, take a look here, a closer look. This is the right lung. As you see, the right lung is divided into three lobes: lower, middle, and an upper lobe. These lobes are divided by fissures. This is known as the horizontal fissure, and it separates the upper and the middle lobe, while this is known as the oblique fissure, and it separates the lower from the middle lobe. If we move to the left side, you will identify only two lobes, upper and lower, and they are separated by the oblique fissure. On the inferior part here, you see the diaphragm, which is the major muscle of respiration and is supplied by the phrenic nerve. I'm going to open this lung here to show you the structure of the inner part of the lung. As you see, the lobes are further divided into lobules. These lobules are further divided or has microscopic structures. These structures are known as the alveoli. And the alveoli are air sacs that are lined up with simple squamous epithelium. And the alveoli actually are the functional units of the respiratory system. In the alveoli, gas exchange takes place between the respiratory system and between the circulatory system, where branches or capillaries from the pulmonary arteries and pulmonary vein will exchange carbon dioxide and oxygen with the alveolar sac. Alveoli will contain oxygen that will diffuse from the alveolar sac to the pulmonary capillaries in exchange of carbon dioxide, which diffuses from the pulmonary capillaries to the alveoli to be expelled outside the body. The lung will perform two major operations that constitute the process of respiration. These are inspiration and expiration. Inspiration simply means inhalation or bringing in air inside the lungs, and expiration or exhalation simply means expulsion of air or carbon dioxide outside of the respiratory system. The movement of air in and outside of the lungs is known as ventilation. Respiratory efforts are controlled by mechanisms that are neural or chemical or local. Carbon dioxide is a major determinant of respiratory rate and respiratory mechanisms. Our brain is sensitive to carbon dioxide excess, which will trigger inspiration or increase the rate and the depth of respiration. Also, there is some centers in the brain, namely in the medulla and the respiratory center or the brain stem. This center controls the act of breathing. Also, the alveoli are lined up with some neurons or nerves that are stretch receptors. These receptors are sensitive to the stretch of the alveolar sac, which will arrest the breathing at the top of that stretch. The respiratory system is divided, as we know, in a lower tract and an upper tract. The upper respiratory tract starts from the nose and ends at the larynx, while the lower respiratory tract starts from the larynx down to the lungs. In the future chapters or the future sessions, we will be talking about these divisions of the respiratory system. Until I meet you next time, I will say thank you for watching this video and hoping to see you next time. Thanks.